the meeting tonight, as Letitia Johnson is not able to be present. We are going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. And we have Dion Woody, who is going to introduce our scholar.
Good evening.
Good evening.
To Board President Johnson in her absence, to Vice President Sivak today, board members, Dr. Green, JPS family, and supporters. This evening, I have the pleasure of presenting Robin Crudup, who will lead us with the Pledge of Allegiance. Robin is a third grade honor roll scholar at Lester Elementary School, where DeLacy Bridges is the principal. Her proud parents are Ronnie Crudup Jr. and Andrea Crudup. She has a younger brother, David, who also attends Lester Elementary, and an older sister, Nia, who attends Bailey APAC Middle School. Robin is a member of New Horizon Church International, where her grandfather, Bishop Ronnie Crudup Sr., is the pastor. Robin enjoys cooking with her mom, reading, shopping, gymnastics, playing on her tablet, and most of all, eating candy. Let's welcome Robin.
Would you please stand? I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we're going to get a photo, and we actually have, for the new school year, new gifts of appreciation that are being provided to us by our sponsor, Scholastic. So each week we will have an age-appropriate gift from Scholastic, full of books and reading materials. And again, we're just excited and appreciate you being here. All right, thank you, Ms. Woody. And now I'm actually very excited when I saw who was giving the reflection tonight. It's a friend of mine, and I didn't put his name in. It just appeared in front of me. Vondaris Von Gordon is a native of Moorhead, Mississippi, in Sunflower County. He joined the Institute, this would be the William Winter Institute of Racial Reconciliation, to develop and coordinate youth programs as youth engagement coordinator. He attended the University of Mississippi, where he was a student leader and helped organize the first statewide student summit on race. He served as a founding board member of the Winter Institute and was the only student representative. He has worked in the private sector, in franchise and corporate multi-unit restaurant operations, and in business development for one of Pepsi's top franchise bottlers. Vaughn is the married father of two, and he is passionate about equipping youth to build stronger communities through education, empowerment, and racial healing. He thinks the best salads in the world are the ones with no dressing. His bio also does not share, but I will add that he is a JPS parent.
Yeah,
all right.
Thank you very much, Mr. Vice President. This is an incredible opportunity. It sucks to have to follow Ms. Crudup, but I'll make it. Did I get a basket? Well, greetings. So I feel like I am in the company of family. And that's an incredible feeling, as many of you know. I know a lot of people in the room. I feel really fortunate to be here. So I am a proud Jacksonian. I am a husband to a second grade teacher. I'm a father to a 13-year-old who goes to Bailey, to a 10-year-old who goes to Power. And by way of just a little bit of housekeeping, well, I've also got a 15-month-old who I'm hoping, I'm glad I got just a couple of minutes because she's going to wreck shop in a little bit. But as a little bit of housekeeping, my 10-year-old, Elmer, wanted me to make sure it was known that the lunch at Power is delicious. And I thought, she's coming from Casey, I thought that was noteworthy because that's the thing I don't think I've ever heard said. But the lunch is delicious. And she said they need a little bit more time to talk because they learn that way. So now the housekeeping's out of the way.
Duly noted.
When my wife, who's I'm really blessed to have with me tonight, when she was pregnant with Anna, our oldest, I set out to read Maria Montessori's book, The Absorbent Mind. I was going to be the best teacher Anna ever had. And then she reached her terrible twos. And I realized there's a gap between my desire and the skill that I had. So we had to very, very quickly find some people to close that gap. And her school experience started. Maria Montessori, in that book, she mentions how Gandhi was one of the first spiritual and kind of political leaders to articulate that education must be what she called a it must be coextensive with life. Education does not end. Children should be trained at a very young age to pursue education always. And we know culturally, we've reached a point where I think as people start to age, they're not encouraged to learn the same. The second thing she credits Gandhi with saying is that the central point of education must be the defense of life. I'd never heard that kind of language before, and I'm 26, we got this brand new baby, but it was really important for me in framing how I viewed the experience our child would have for the next really 18 years of her life, or 16 years. And it made me reflect a lot on the life that I lived. I went to Rossa Elementary in Moorhead, and then we moved to Jackson. I went to Lake, and I went to Bailey. I was a part of the first group of middle schoolers to get to Bailey. It was us through the 12th graders, and we were the scrubs for, until we got to not be the scrubs. I learned so much in those experiences. So to encourage you tonight, I want to remind you of just how critical that is, but also how holistic it is that you create these spaces where children like mine, like many of your own, are made to feel like they belong. The reading, writing, and arithmetic is incredible. I respect what you all do. My wife is teaching second grade, and I stay as far away as I can from any of that because that's just not my gift. But it is your gift. This is my city. I love my city. I love the children of my city. But I want you to know the lesson I learned with Anna when we found a school for her to attend, that we were admitting there were people in our community better equipped to do the job of training her to be a lifelong learner, right? To build a life worth living and learn to defend it, as Gandhi said. The reading, writing, and arithmetic are critical, but the spaces that you create where the kids feel like they belong, where your staffs and your school leaders feel like they belong, is absolutely critical to the work we have to do to rebuild our city, rebuild our community, and to make this a more perfect union. So I don't want to put any more pressure on you than you made me feel by putting me behind Ms. Kruder. But I want you to know that there are people in the city, like me, there are organizations in the city who are standing behind you. They may not always be vocal, and perhaps one of my challenges is to make sure that they are more vocal, but we are behind you. We are behind you in the challenges that you have. We have bought into the 5-year plan. We're looking at it for ways that we can fit in. So I want you to be encouraged, because though it may not always seem like it, there are people who love you and who have your backs. So thank you for the opportunity. God bless you, and I'm a phone call away.
Mr. Gordon, I believe we've got a
Just a photo op.
certificate.
Thank you so much, Mr. Gordon, for sharing those words. Let the record show that we have a quorum. There are 4 board members present. We are going to move forward with the adoption of the agenda. Board members, can I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the agenda be approved as written. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Reading and approval of the minutes. The August 6 minutes have been shared for review. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the minutes from the August 6, 2019 board meeting be approved. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. We will now move on to the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Dr. Sivak and members of the board. We'll begin, I believe, with, we've got some announcements on video.
Jackson Public Schools is proud to announce the addition of 2 leaders to its administrative leadership team. Longtime food service supervisor Mark B. Rowe is the new executive director of child nutrition. Rowe served in his previous role for 17 years, managing both the North and South Jackson area schools. He also served as the instructor for the management training class, preparing employees to become managers in Jackson Public Schools. His continued commitment to serve clean fruits and vegetables and reduce processed sugar provides a platform for students to nourish their bodies while they prepare for their futures. In an effort to help students make healthier choices, Rowe and his team will add hydration stations in school cafeterias and continue their dedication to no-fry zones throughout the district. Dr. Nicole Evans now leads the Office of Data and Accountability. As an accomplished teacher, researcher, and scholar, Dr. Evans is a graduate of Jim Hill High School. She holds a PhD in Education Administration and Research and a master's degree in Public Relations from the University of Southern Mississippi. She received her bachelor's degree from Jackson State University. Her career in education began as an English teacher at Jim Hill High School. She now has over 20 years of experience as an education administrator and faculty member. She is the former vice president for institutional research and enrollment management at Jackson State University, where she was responsible for a variety of matters relating to students and faculty, including accreditation, assessment, research, and enrollment. It's that time of year again when we celebrate our summer reading program and honor our top readers. Jackson Public Schools will hold its summer reading celebration Thursday, September 5th from 5:30 to 7 p.m. at the Mississippi Children's Museum at 2145 Museum Boulevard. Everyone is invited to celebrate. For more information, contact the Office of Teaching and Learning at 601-960-8358. It's game time. General admission tickets for local JPS high school football games are available for purchase online. Purchase your tickets through the GoFan Tickets app, available in all app stores or at the Jackson Public Schools GoFan site. Tickets will be sold at the gate for all home games, but to help avoid long lines, we now offer this convenient option. For more information, visit the JPS website at www.jackson.k12.ms.us. For only $30, JPS employees may purchase an employee pass for admission to all regular season, middle, and high school sporting events for the entire school year. You may purchase these passes at the JPS Athletics Office, 101 Dr. Dennis Holloway Drive, Monday through Thursday from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. and from 1:30 to 4 p.m. For more information, please call 601-960-8825. Parents who have not completed registration are asked to please do so by visiting your child's school or the Office of Enrollment Services located at 1017 Robinson Street. Parents or legal guardians who are registering under shared residency status should make an appointment with the Office of Enrollment Services by calling 601-960-8850. For new students, you'll need a valid photo ID, copy of your birth certificate, 2 proofs of residency, and an updated 121 or immunization record. Thanks in advance for your support in ensuring your scholar is registered for school. The Labor Day holiday is just around the corner. All JPS schools and offices will be closed on Monday, September 2nd, 2019 for Labor Day. For the latest information on Jackson Public Schools, follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook, and visit our website and YouTube channel.
As always, thank you to the team for developing that video of highlights and announcements and so forth. I have just two topics that I want to share, just a little bit of information on before I bring on one of the team members who will share some additional information with you, board members. One, today is the first day of our district-wide professional development 80% days. You'll recall, board members, that you supported and approved of a calendar to include, I believe, 7 in total, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7 in total, 80% days where students are released a little early to allow us to provide some concentrated and focused professional development for our school-based teams. It's a part of our commitment to excellence. It's a part of our commitment to having a growth mindset, as well as developing stronger relationships as educators and thinking through and preparing ourselves to provide the highest quality education to our young people. And so we're excited to launch that today. Initial reports are that they've gone really well. We're utilizing a train-the-trainer model where we are supporting district-level team members, interventionists, and instructional coaches, as well as, I believe, some school leaders who have availed themselves to be trained in the content and things that range the lesson planning and some of the other major shifts that we're looking to make this year. And so that train-the-trainer model, we've gotten great feedback from those who've been involved in that. Dr. Kenyana Burke and her entire team have worked really hard to, one, understand the needs of our educators and to develop a course of study and scope and sequence for the year that is addressing the highest yield, highest leverage, instructional strategies and that sort of thing. And so we're just excited to launch that today. We're excited to get feedback and continue to up our game. I will tell you, though, I've seen several photos and images of the sessions from this afternoon, and folks are smiling. So to have teachers at the end of a day engaged in learning and they're smiling and fully engaged, it's a good thing. And we know that we've got continued work to do on that, but that's a commitment that we're making to our teachers in particular, but educators across the board. Teach or treat one another as professionals, give one another the kind of professional support that is required to do the big and really important work that we've got before us. So I couldn't be more proud of the team for what we have undertaken in this regard, and know that we'll just continue to build on what's been launched today. Just for clarity, this 80% day requires that our elementary schools are dismissed at 1:55 p.m. Our middle schools are dismissed at 2:20 p.m. and our high schools are dismissed at 3 o'clock. To allow for the professional development to happen. The upcoming professional development dates are as follows. They're September the 24th, October 22nd, November the 19th, January the 28th, February the 25th, and March the 24th. We'll continue to bring reports and updates to the board as we have these experiences, not only of, hey, anecdotally they've gone well, but more and more of the perception and satisfaction data as we gather that and what we're seeing as a result of the professional development in our practice. And so we'll commit to bringing updates on that as we continue through the year. But we're excited to have expanded our opportunities for professional growth. The second item that I wanted to just name is that I had the wonderful opportunity, the great pleasure of speaking with Donna Ladd, who's editor-in-chief of the Jackson Free Press, for the Let's Talk Jackson podcast. This was my first, and so it was a wonderful experience. Ms. Ladd was just a wonderful person to talk with and just to explore where we are in Jackson Public Schools, some of the plans that we've developed, but also the reception that we've gotten from members of the community as we've rolled out plans and our continued understanding of what the challenges are and how we're approaching those. I do encourage everyone to take a listen and check us out. It's available at letstalkjackson.com, letstalkjackson.com. So we do encourage folks to take a listen to that. I think you'll be fairly pleased at your superintendent and this idea is shared. Lastly, we had committed, I believe, a few board meetings ago to bring some additional information and just to update the board on some of the alternative programming that we're offering here in Jackson Public Schools. And so I'm pleased to call up our Executive Director of Climate and Wellness, Ms. Amanda Thomas, as well as our Assistant Superintendent, Lakeisha Marshall-Thomas, to join us to share some information about the LEAP, REAP, and Capital City alternative programs. And so I'll turn the mic over to Ms. Thomas, who will begin.
Okay, good evening.
Good evening.
It's a pleasure to be with you all this evening. I do want to acknowledge the principals of REAP, Re-Engaging in Education for All to Progress, Dr. Sinitra Dawson, and also Ms. Tanya Mason, who is the principal at Capital City Alternative School. Not only for collaborating and providing the information for us this evening, but also for their daily leadership that they provide in their buildings. So we're going to begin with REAP. As you see, the mission at REAP is we refocus scholars and propel them towards success in alignment to the district mission of achievement. And we know that tonight we're speaking about student academic and behavior support. So REAP is not an alternative placement. It is an optional pathway to graduation. So we will begin with an overview. REAP is a selection agreed upon by the parent, the student, and homeschool to benefit students that are at risk of dropping out of school due to a lack of academic success in the traditional school setting. The student and the parent participates in an interview with the REAP staff. Students who are accepted begin school the next scheduled class day and are allowed to board the bus from their home school. REAP is fast-paced, which means that students attend 4 classes each day. Again, REAP is not a behavior intervention or placement. It is designed for those students who have experienced events that may have led them to falling behind academically, and they need a way to achieve their goal of receiving their high school diploma. Who attends REAP? In order to attend REAP, students must be enrolled in Jackson Public Schools. Students must be between the ages of 17 and 21 and retained for 2 or more years. They must have completed at least 1 year of academic instruction at the high school level. We note that the staff at the program are 100% certified. The principal, as I stated, is Dr. Sinitra Birch-Dawson, and the lead counselor is Ms. Rebecca Allen. We also have partnerships with Job for Mississippi Graduates, Marian Counseling Services, Midtown Partners, and Operation Shoestring. We do have a couple of success stories to share. We note that the first one was a male student, 20-year-old at Forest Hill High School, who last attended school during the 2016-17 school year, which means he dropped out for 1 academic year. He then readmitted to REAP in 2018-19, which would have meant that he was a 6-year senior. He completed requirements and graduated in 2019 and he is currently enlisted in the United States Air Force. Our second success story is a female 19-year-old student who was a graduating senior from Lanier High School, retained 2 years, admitted to REAP in 2018-19, completed in requirements and graduated in 2019, and she is currently enrolled in community college and working at a local restaurant. A few additional points. 76 students were enrolled at REAP at the end of 2018-19 school year. 40 students successfully completed the program. 32 of the 40 received their high school diploma. Currently, there are 36 students enrolled, and the capacity for the program is 100 students. As I stated, REAP is an optional pathway to the diploma or high school diploma, but the next two programs are alternative school programs that I will speak about, and we see that our policy is JKC. So the first alternative program is Lower Elementary Alternative Placement, and the primary objective of LEAP is the remediation of students' behavioral difficulties, enabling progress to return to regular classes. We'll begin with an overview of the program. Again, it is for students in kindergarten through 3rd grade, and this is for general education students. It is newly restructured this year. For the past 9 years, there has not been a specific location for these students who exhibit these particular disruptive behaviors. Students were removed from the home school and placed in various locations. So this year, students who meet criteria set by the assistant superintendents and the ED of Climate and Wellness will attend LEAP at Dawson Elementary. One of the main focus is early detection and proactive prevention. So you see that we do have academic and behavior curriculum and instruction. Highly structured classroom setting with a maximum of 10 students at one time. Do want to emphasize that. And also the focus is for it to be short-term placement with a minimum of 20 instructional days. And prior to students returning to their home school, they will be mainstreamed into the regular environment. Some characteristics of students who attend LEAP, as you see noted, may have habitual defiance of school authority with some of those characteristics, or they may bring inappropriate items to school. So most of the students come with social emotional challenges, and some attend for isolated incidents, such as I stated, possession of inappropriate items. Students and parents must attend a mandatory meeting before students begin the program. The staff members that serve at the LEAP program are 2 certified staff teachers with over 40 years of experience, have counseling and administrative degrees, and also the Dawson Elementary principal, who could not be with us this evening, Ms. Vicki Conley, serves as the LEAP site principal to provide additional supports to those staff members. As stated, the program outcomes, which are listed, when students meet these outcomes, then they have been successful with the program. And these outcomes will be measured by regularly scheduled progress monitoring as directed by the TST and MTSS process. Staff will work with students to manage the misbehavior. They also work to connect families with proper outside sources that are inside and outside the district. But a major factor of success is the parents' acknowledgement of the problem and the willingness to accept the assistance. Some additional points for LEAP. Last year, 26 referrals were made to the LEAP team for assistance. 16 resulted in alternative placement for the students. 10 resulted in staff working with families to develop coping strategies and or connect them with outside resources. Currently, LEAP staff has received 4 referrals for assistance, and there are no students at the site presently. However, LEAP staff have been visiting schools to observe the former LEAP students, as well as assist with parent conferences and develop behavior intervention support plans. Our next placement is Capital City Alternative School, where we have alternative to greater possibilities. Capital City Alternative School provides support for students in grades 4 through 12, general and special education students. It provides comprehensive educational, behavior, and emotional support for all upper elementary, middle, and high school students enrolled in Jackson Public Schools. The staff listed, the school counselor, behavior specialist, social worker, Marian Counseling, all support the implementation of the students' individualized plans. Positive behavior intervention and supports are implemented school-wide, and rules and expectations are reviewed before the beginning of each class period. Students and staff are recognized when these expectations are met. Again, it is structured so that grade levels are separated. Elementary students are housed in the portables. Middle school and high school students are located on separate halls. Orientation is conducted Monday through Fridays at 8:00 a.m. All grades earned at Capital City will be accepted at the homeschool sites in the same manner as they are accepted from schools across the district. Some achievements for Capital City School Alternative: they have Career in College Week. You see, they've been a National School Lunch Week winner for 10 years in different categories. Community services is a part of the goal at Capital City, in which you see that they've had personal toiletries and books donated, as well as breast cancer awareness activities and donations. Also, they have a bi-monthly student power hour. You see restorative justice themes, as well as partnership for jobs with Mississippi graduates. Capital City is proud of their adopters, Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, 10-year partnership. And you see the different of the various items that the adopters have provided. Also, Councilman Kenneth Stokes is a longtime supporter and sponsor, and he sponsored various activities for the student body as well. Again, the students who attend Capital City Alternative School are students in grades 4 through 12 who have been recommended for 11 days or more of long-term suspension. Those who serve the students at Capital City have over 25 years of administrative staff experience. 82% of those staff members are returning, from 1 year to 30 years of teaching experience with a diversified staff, and 5 of them are military veterans. We also have some success stories for Capital City to share. One success story is a male student enrolled at Capital City, the 2018 Forest Hill High School graduate, college scholarship recipient, currently enrolled in the Culinary Arts program at Hines Community College. So we're proud of that. Lastly, some additional data points. There are 297 students were enrolled at Capital City at various times during the 2018-19 school year. 230 students ended the 2018-19 school year at Capital City. There are currently 98 students enrolled. Capacity varies based on grade level of enrollment for students, which is the 15-to-1 student-teacher ratio according to state guidelines. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Board members, are there any questions with regard to the 3 programs, LEAP, REAP, and Capital City?
No, I don't have any questions. It's just very exciting to hear about the good work. So thank you and all of y'all for your work.
Thank you.
Ms. Thomas, I just want to acknowledge, I think you did a really excellent job providing information, data, and stories of success. So just thank you for that report.
And thanks
Well
to the
done.
team. Thank you.
Board members, we've also expressed our intentions to bring some comprehensive information regarding special programs for exceptional education, and so we will have that scheduled as soon as possible and prepare a report on that as well. Okay. I believe that concludes our remarks for this afternoon. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Green. We will now move to the public participation and comment section of the agenda. And Attorney Shepard has shared that there are no comments for this evening, so we will move on to information items only. Dr. Green, item A.
Yes, I am. Sorry, let me get my notes up. I am excited to bring before the board a policy change for a review of policy recommended changes to policy BA, the vision, mission, and core values. As we've discussed previously and as the board has supported in our strategic plan, we've shared a revised vision statement, revised mission statement, and 6 core values to which we are grounding and on which we're grounding our decision-making and resource allocation and just how we go about our work. For the record, I'll just state the JPS vision statement. At Jackson Public Schools, we prepare scholars to achieve globally, to contribute locally, and to be fulfilled individually. The mission statement, at Jackson Public Schools, we develop scholars through world-class learning experiences to attain an exceptional knowledge base, critical and relevant skill sets, and the necessary dispositions for great success. As we previously reported, the core values that we're moving forward: equity, excellence, growth mindset, relationships, relevance, and positive and respectful culture. We are seeking your support, well, first just for information, but we'll be coming back to you for action to asking your support and approving these as the official vision and mission statements, core values, in an effort to update policy BA for inclusion there.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you, Dr. Green. Board members, any questions of Dr. Green? Okay, thank you.
Just one last point there. In addition to this policy change, in consultation with our Attorney General and with Dr. Hairston, who heads the Policy Review Committee of the board, we've provided to board members a process that we believe makes sense as we consider future revisions of policies. That process includes a longer range review of policies, which will, for which we'll engage a third-party reviewer, a consultant, to support us in the review. And that larger, deeper review of our policies would allow us to reset the depth of language in those policies, ensuring that we're at the governance level and not dipping into administrative procedural language. And as I've discussed with board members and heard commentary from you, there's a general sense and desire that we move in that direction with our policies and allow the administration to build out procedures and further detailed language that can be a bit more nimble as the needs require us to be. So that's the long-range review of policies. And in addition to that, as I've shared with board members, we are proposing a process by which staff members, board members, and perhaps at times community members will flag policies or issues that might need to be addressed in policy revision. We'll share those with the Policy Review Committee, have some discussion there, and likely bring some recommended revised language, have the review committee react to that and prepare language to come before the board for information, and then per requirements out to the public for comment, and then back to the board for any action that you might take on those board policy revisions. So just wanted to share with the board and publicly that we take very seriously this role of reviewing and updating our policies as appropriate, and that we do have a process by which we believe we can address those needs, the more acute needs up front, and the longer range, deeper review of policies and revision of policies with the support of a third party.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Green. And Ms. Williams, I would just ask that the minutes reflect that we were briefed on the proposed policies, the proposed procedures, and a process to review policy both in the short term and in the long term. Thank you, Dr. Green, for pulling that together.
Yes.
The next item will be the review of the Jackson Public School Emergency Management Plan. Chief Jones.
Good evening, members of the board. Dr. Green, if you would, please. The administration is providing for informational purposes the 2019-2020 Jackson Public School District Emergency Management Plan. Now, the plan that you have is actually a collaborative effort involving our metro area law enforcement partners. It involved emergency responders. It also included, if you would please, the community partners, as well as the National Incident Management System protocols to make sure that we are aligned with best practices. Now, the plan itself is an all-threat, all-hazard plan that includes man-made and natural disasters. If you would, please, you may note that there have been no significant changes between this year and last year. But what we do with the plan is we actually look at incidents that occurred last year, and then we use a model, if you would, looking at threat assessments, looking at the individual incidents, and make sure that they align with our plan, making sure that we are employing best practices. So we did that with incidents such as bomb threats, but it's all threat, all hazard, and it included everyday incidents to include children who may be late getting home, animals that are on campus. That's also included in the plan. So the plan is a living document. We use it every day, reviewing it, making sure that we remain current, that the language we use is current and it's applicable with today's standards.
Thank you, Chief Jones. Board members, are there any questions?
No.
Okay. Thank you for your responses to the questions. I know a number of board members asked some regarding the things that you just addressed, how we document threats, and appreciate the thoroughness in those responses.
Thank you, sir.
Next, we will move to the review of the MOA between JPS and the University of Mississippi Medical Center for Science Teaching Excites Medical Interest Program. Ms. Marshall Thomas.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Dr. Green, Dr. Sivak, board members. The administration is presenting for information the memorandum of agreement between the Jackson Public School District and the University of Mississippi Medical Center for the Science Teaching Excites Medical Interest Program, called STEMI. The Science Teaching Excites Medical Interest Project brings UMMC biomedical research experts and graduate students together with K-12 Mississippi school districts, including 2 of our high schools, Jim Hill and Murrah High School. So I've invited Dr. Rob Rockhold to come to give an overview of the STEMI program. Okay.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
It is always a pleasure to have the opportunity to be with the board and discuss, explain more of a collaboration between the Medical Center and Jackson Public School District. So STEMI is a $1.1 million 5-year research project sponsored by the National Institutes of Health. It is a teacher professional development program. Primary focus is on working with teachers to enhance their awareness and proficiency at the teaching style that's called either flipped learning or the flipped classroom model. And I see y'all nodding your heads knowingly, so I don't need to explain that model to any greater extent. In that project, we are working with Jim Hill and Murrah High School teachers. We bring them in for 2-year consecutive summer workshop programs, as well as continued interaction with them during the school year. At the end of the 2 years, they are expected to have developed, implemented, evaluated, and then refined a flipped lesson to bring into their classrooms. The Memorandum of Understanding that is before you this evening is a slight modification of an existing Memorandum of Understanding between our institutions. That initial agreement was signed in May of 2018. The current agreement reflects only some very minor changes in the actual conduct of the program. We had active teachers and control teachers. We now have only active teachers. We do a pre-post assessment instead of trying to compare them against a control group. We also stipulated a 4-week summer workshop, which now has been reduced to 2 weeks. That's a summation of the 2 most significant changes. Be happy to answer any questions you may have.
I would just have one comment for our listening audience, our parents who may not particularly be familiar with the flipped classroom. If you could just give them a little piece of the excitement that brings.
So in the flipped learning or flipped classroom model, the flip is in the way that the teacher interacts with the students. Instead of, and we'll use some traditional jargon, instead of the teacher being at the podium, being the sage on the stage, if you will, lecturing and providing the primary body of information to the students, that teacher becomes more of a guide on the side, develops a structure of learning that is shared with the students with the intent on developing the students' own responsibility for their learning. So they are expected to take a much more active role. So instead of coming to class, listening to a lecture, getting homework, going home, and coming back, the teacher structures work that is given to the student, often using technology, videos, or YouTube access. The student reviews that information, examines the content, comes back to the classroom the next day, and where the teacher can engage them in an exploration of that detailed information in a way that expands their understanding of the concepts. I think that summarizes the key elements. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Harrison. I was going to feign understanding, but that was very helpful for me.
Flipped learning in my era used to be read the chapter before you come to class. We've changed that significantly. So, any other questions?
Sounds very exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for your work.
It's been a lot of fun. We've worked with some excellent teachers, as we often do when we work with JPS staff. Thank you all.
Thank you. We're excited to see continued partnership with the Medical Center. Our next item up is the review of the MOA between a pool of providers, Idea Language Services, Propio, Rojamas, Creative Solutions. All of these are to provide translation, interpretation, and transcription services. Dr. Merritt.
All right. Great evening to Dr. Sivak, Board of Trustees, and Dr. Green. The administration recommends a review of the Memorandum of Agreement between a pool of providers, Idea Language Services, LLC, Propio, LC, Rugamas Creative Solutions, and the Jackson Public School District for the purpose of providing district-wide translation, interpretation, and transcription services. And basically, as a district, we must have individuals that are on call to provide an interpretation or translation of languages for all students that we have enrolled within the district. This is something, of course, and Dr. Casey can come, who is the director of EL, English Learners and Special Populations, and expound a little bit more. But this is a service that we must provide to students and have available for them.
Thank you, Dr. Merritt. Board members, any questions? One of the things that surprised me actually was the number of languages that we have in the district. I'm wondering if you could share just the snapshot of those.
Dr. Casey.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
We have about 15 languages, but we haven't finished the registration process yet. We haven't gone through, so we're getting a lot. One of the dominant language, of course, is Spanish, then Arabic. But the one that is really coming from behind is Chu, which is a Mayan language from Guatemala and Mexico. And since we're getting a lot of immigrants from Guatemala, that is fastly becoming a language that we really need help with translation, because nobody here knows it. It's an indigenous language, so those are the primary ones. The other languages that are mostly located, like for the students in Callaway, which are coming here with Christian Charities, they have foster parents. So they speak English, they can communicate in English with them, but it's the students themselves that are the Wolof and all the other different languages that are, that bring richness to our district.
Excellent.
Indeed.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Ms. Miller, we are of a review of a 2-year contract between JPS and JD CPA for the district's annual audits, FY 2019 and 2020.
Thank you, Dr. Sivak, Dr. Green, members of the board. I am bringing to you for review a 2-year contract for JD CPA LLC for the district's annual audits. If you recall, last year, the board did approve a 3-year contract with this company. When we submitted the contract to the state auditor's office, they asked that we revise that to only a 1-year contract because one of the partners there was in the process of leaving another firm, and they wanted to make sure that all of that was clear before they approved a 3-year contract. By state law, we can only have the same auditor for 3 years. So this would take us through 2020 with JD CPA LLC. This was our first year working with them, but we have been very, very pleased with the work that they provided to us. They were very timely. As you recall, I was very proud to announce we were about 2 weeks before the deadline. Very thorough CPAs, and they're just ready to get to work. So we are bringing this contract, this 2-year contract, for your review tonight.
Ms. Miller, one question I have for clarification. I mentioned this for fiscal year ended 2019-2020. Is it 2020 and 2021?
It's 2019, which is the one that just ended.
It's auditing the year we just finished.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Board members, any questions? Okay, thank you, Ms. Miller.
Thank you.
Next, we have our new Executive Director of Child Nutrition, although not new to the district, Mr. Rowe. He will be providing us with a review of the district procurement plan for child nutrition to use federal, state, and local funds to operate the program.
Okay. Dr. Sivak, members of the board, Dr. Green, greetings. The procurement plan, we're required by MDE, the State Office of Child Nutrition, to work with Shirley Miller and her group to develop a procurement plan that fits the items that we purchase in food service. So we've developed that plan and presented it to you for approval. Okay.
Board members, any questions?
No questions. I just raised one in email. I'm glad to see that we're taking consideration of local farmers and local produce and reaching out to them and seeing how we can help those farmers in Mississippi and in the Jackson area support our children through fresh fruits and vegetables in particular. So thank you for that.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, now we will move to the information action items. So in addition to the information, tonight we have up for approval an increase in adult meal prices effective October 1. Mr. Rowe.
Yes, sir. We're requesting to increase the adult lunch from currently $3.50 to $3.75. USDA requires that we charge a minimum of $3.63 for adult lunch. Several weeks ago, they sent out a request for us to increase that price. Now, we sought to have ask to have those prices hold off until mid-year, so we wouldn't have to do it, during the school year. We were denied, so we need to go ahead and make those changes immediately.
And it's my understanding that we need this in place for September.
October 1st.
October 1st. Okay.
Okay.
Board members, any questions? Hearing none.
I just have a very odd question. Can we come have lunch one day?
Absolutely.
We need
Absolutely.
to get word from Ms. Williams and let you know ahead of time.
Absolutely, we welcome that.
$3.75.
We'll go together and I'll
Not a
treat
free
you,
lunch.
Dr. Harrison.
No, I didn't mean to imply free lunch.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hearing no questions, can I get a motion to approve the increase?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The motion carries. Next, we move on to our consent agenda. You have before you items A through E. Board members, are there any items that you would like to discuss independent of the consent agenda? Hearing none, could I get a motion to approve the consent agenda items for finance?
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve all of the consent agenda items listed. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Next, we will move to our consent agenda items general. We have items listed A through G. Board members, are there any items on this list with which you would like to discuss further, independent of the consent agenda? Hearing none, could I get a motion to approve items A through G?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the consent agenda as listed. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. We are moving to the personnel, and there are, board members, there are 4 items that we are requesting to remove from the items to approve. They are H1, H3, H4, and H7. The rationale for these is, well, if you would like to discuss these, we can go into that, but I believe in, is that a, do I need to give the rationale if it's a personnel item? So go ahead.
I was going to say, move the approval of the item with the removal of H1, H3, H4, and H7.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the consent agenda item for personnel with the exception of H1, H3, H4, and H7. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries unanimously. Any other business? I've been informed that we have some items for executive session, so board members, could I have a motion to approve consideration to hold executive session?
I move that we close the meeting to consider entering executive session.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we close the meeting to consider an executive session. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The motion carries. Thank you all for being here tonight.
Thank you.